Welcome back to today's video. Playing skylines. In today's video, we're going to be expanding on our suburbs, building into the city, mostly working on the waterfront and getting that up to where the university is, and then we're also finishing up our commuter lines out to this area of the bay from the main city. So I first came along, finished up this area of the suburbs. All I really did was just add in a ton of homes in here, and I pretty much just made them fairly spotty. For at least for most of them, put in a cul-de-sac too. And once we got towards the industrial area, I did stop them because that's how it would be. Because the pollution ain't healthy to be around, so people wouldn't want to live there. Thus, no houses. And then I did put a bunch along the waterfront here. These would be insanely expensive houses, so there would be a good amount of space between them. That's why there is space between them. And then I just kept continuing that along here, along pretty much this entire waterfront here, and I just kept doing that. These don't bring in a ton of people into the city, but like I said, there's a place for them, and that place is here. Starting to get into the city area. There wouldn't be much else that they could really fit in here, and they're still fairly separated from the city, so yeah. And then because of the terrain here, I didn't want to just not put a road in, so then I just put a path here. Has connections down from the beach out to this road, out to the other road that will be on the other side of this general area along the lower part near the water, and also connections to the universities, like I said, so you can get pretty much anywhere down to the beach from there, from this whole entire general area. So it'll definitely be a pretty, well, in real life would be probably pretty well used, but in the game won't, because there's no one that goes to the beach in the game, which is unfortunate, but it's just how it is. Then I brought a road down for a connection into here, and then I moved the first up over. This will be the last time I'm moving it, hopefully. That is very depot though, so I then just reconnected those up. Didn't want to make sure they all were working and running, all that fun stuff. I did eventually get our ferry stop connected up. I didn't put any bus lines or transportation into it. So there still probably isn't much of any people using it, especially since there isn't much reason to come over here right now anyways, other than sports games. But even that, it's still probably they would rather take the train because of how slow the ferries are and not great public transit once you get to the other side of the ferry. And then this is going to be the end of the line for the train station. This, while it does have a metro track on it, we won't probably be using it. That second line I might use for interstate trains exclusively. I don't know entirely. And then the monorail I will incorporate into the area as some rapid transit for this general area too. Then for the next rail infrastructure project, and this will be probably the biggest one, which I did forget to mention this in the beginning, but it's fine. Cargo terminal. We might put 2 in this general area of the bay. This might be the only one. I don't know entirely yet. It all depends on how the track and city is all going to be laid. I don't know that yet, though. So, for now, this might be the only cargo terminal in here, so I did decide to make it pretty big. Either way, this would probably be the main one for this area of the city. And due to that, like I said, I made it fairly big. I made sure all these homes that we now put in had connections like power and water, and I made sure that they all looked nice. So if I did need to put an earthquake sensor or something like that for said connections, and all I need to do is just change around the terrain, which I also did with the homes here too. I did some of them I did just change around the zoning. I did try and make them work if I could. If I couldn't, like I said, I just changed around the zoning a bit and made it to where they would work. And then I got back to work on our car train station. This one I'm going to make pretty much like how I've made most of them. Big parking lot for trucks, trailers, staff, etc. We will have a gate to enter. Pretty typical stuff. Stuff that we've been doing since we started doing these pretty much since the beginning of this entire series. Concrete off a little bit of parking lot left, and then I decided to put in some warehouses in here to help store some stuff. This one I put goods on, and then the other two I put panel timber and paper on. The other two were a lot bigger. We put in the large one and the medium one in here, so they can hold a whole lot more. And then I put in a fence all around the border of this whole entire complex here. And I really like how this all turned out. It definitely is really nice. And I also love how this interchange just looked here with the rails all splitting off with the commuter and freight and all that stuff. And like I said, we might do another one. If we do, the cutoff will be for that will be probably somewhere between the station just around here for the sports / college area and on the final station. This one I also put in plastics in that open air one. And I also added in some parking. Those parking lots would probably be for staff though. And that big parking lot in the center would be for just storing different containers and stuff. And then I just put in some zone generic industry in here, along with also putting in a substation for this entire complex of the cargo train station here. And the substation turned out fairly nicely once I got everything to work out how I wanted it. And then to finish out the episode, I just connected up our last stop on our commuter lines to the road network on the main road here, and gave it power and electricity, or power and water. So this way it's all connected up. And then I started on what will be our monorail line. So we'll have one going out to the right and one going out to the left. Nothing too crazy for them. They'll just be ways to get around this area that isn't a bus, just because this area is a bit too large for buses. And I also put in a bus terminal off camera. But here's the final product. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, make sure to subscribe. Do this next one. Bye!